Thanks for joining us live with Miami's Community News. And our guest today is the Congressman from out west, all right, and north, Carlos Gimenez.
South. Yes.
Carlos Gimenez. Thank you very much for being here.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So, as most people know, you've spent your life in public service, which is extraordinary. As a fireman, city manager, Dade County Commissioner, Dade County Mayor, and now Congressman.
Yes.
Did we get it right?
Yes, you got them all right. Yeah.
And what is that time span?
Well, I joined the fire department in January 6, 1975. So that would make it something like, 42 years, something like that. 75. No, I'm sorry. 75, 85, 95, 05, 15. Okay, that's, Jesus.
43.
Yes.
Long time.
Long time, yeah.
So, and in lots of different venues, lots of different experiences, and a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah, actually more. It's more like 48 years. Is it 48 years? Is that wait? Let's do that again. Okay.
So I went that far.
Okay.
We better get this thing right.
85, 95, 05, 15. That's 40, right? And then 40, 45, 47 years.
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
And as you're
But
probably
time
aware,
flies.
yes,
Yeah, right. Okay.
especially when you're having a good time
yeah.
like this. So, what gave you the confidence in each of these steps so that you could fulfill your commitment to the people and then continue serving the public?
Well, look, I mean, I never thought that I was going to get past, being a fire chief for the city of Miami. That was my great aspiration. As a firefighter, the one thing that you want to do, a lot of us anyway, not all of us, but a lot of us, see how far you can progress in your career, and then could you reach the pinnacle of your career, which is being the chief, the fire chief. And so I reached that when I was 37 years old, which is very, very young for in the fire service. You usually don't get there until you're in your 50s somewhere.
So you seem quite unassuming in the
Yeah.
sense that you just go about your business, but there must be a skill level in there that keeps you getting either selected, nominated, or elected.
Yeah, and I think, look, I'm not a rah-rah person. I also I try to be as humble as I can. I let my work do my talking. I didn't ask to be the fire chief of the city of Miami. They asked me to be the fire chief. I didn't ask to be the city manager of Miami. I was asked to be the city manager of Miami, and all of it does doing hard work. And so I also believe in paying your dues. And so I was a firefighter, and I studied hard to become a lieutenant, and then I studied hard to become a captain. And then as captain, I did things for rescue and pretty innovative stuff for City of Miami Fire Rescue. I was noticed then by the chief, who made me his executive assistant. And there, my career in the fire service, as far as chiefs, and there's different levels of chiefs, took off. I was noticed by the manager when I was a division chief in charge of EMS. And then he made me the fire chief when I was, again, 37 years old, 17 years in the service. That's pretty young.
Yes. So people were watching you, and you were doing your work. Now we are all watching you as you service in Washington.
Yeah.
And when you're out talking with people, what do they say their issues are here in Miami-Dade and in South Florida?
I think they're the same issues that I hear from around the country. You're talking about the high, the price, the inflation rate that we have. The price of gasoline, energy, what's happening at the border. Those are the things that are really people talk to me. And then business people talk to me about, hey, I can't find anybody to work. And we got about 10 million job openings in the entire United States. We don't know why. Why are people, what happened to everybody? And so maybe it was that a lot of this, these incentives, or the COVID funding that we put out, really disincentivized work. And so those are the things really that people keep talking to me about.
And as far as the unemployment rate's very low, and some people say, it's a rigged. I said, if it's rigged all the time, then it's right or wrong all the time.
Right.
So
the unemployment rate is low. The issue is that there are 10 million job openings. All right. And so if you want a job in the United States, you can find one.
So
okay?
So where are those people? Were they always financially independent, that this other person in the family made enough money to make up the difference?
No, I think what happened is during COVID, and there were all these incentives not to work, to stay at home. Like, look, the first tranche of it, when COVID first hit and all of the business were being shut down, either by your state or by your local, area where business couldn't open, right? So there was a first tranche that went out to businesses to pay their employees not to work. Okay, because if we had not done that, if the United States hadn't done that, I think that we've been in a Great Depression. Because then everybody'd be out of work, et cetera, et cetera. And so we see that, but then later on, there were unemployment benefits were extended, benefits were given so that people had, hey, wait a minute, I'm making more money not working than I was when I was working. There was also people that that there are a certain number that felt, hey, maybe I was working too hard. I need to, smell the roses, maybe, be with my kids, et cetera, et cetera. There was some of that. But really, and then some other folks said, no, I'm not going to go back to that anymore. I'm going to do this. But there's still 10 million job openings.
I suspect that some people were making a living if they're a young person. There's ways to do it on social media like never before. But I'm as perplexed as the next guy. Let's talk about gasoline.
Yeah.
Right. So we see gasoline goes up and down, but the price that when we see it dropping, why do we get so happy when it drops a dime a gallon? Right? Why? What is it about that we see on every street corner? Oh, things are good, even though personally, right, it has only a tiny effect. What is it about our psyches that use that as a measure?
No, I don't think things are good. I think, gasoline prices are probably double of what they were, before,
Yes.
The Biden administration came in. And the Biden administration has actually said that they want to destroy the U.S. energy sector, our gasoline and petroleum industry. He said, fossil fuel industry, and which is crazy. I mean, completely nuts. And so that has an effect. Gasoline prices, energy prices has an effect on everything because
Yes.
we need it, right? You're using energy right now to transmit this. When all the food that gets to your groceries, they get transported there somehow, okay, and they usually through some kind of a truck, et cetera, et cetera. So it affects everything, and the fact is that he's claiming that somehow it's to save the planet, but it can't be, because look. U.S. energy, the way we produce energy, is 20% cleaner than the rest of the world. The rest of the world is going to need fossil fuels for the next 50 years, and that's indisputable, all right? So if the rest of the world is going to need fossil fuels for the next 50 years, why shouldn't it be American fossil fuels? Why shouldn't we, get the benefit of that? A, we produce it cleaner. B, it'll create jobs, really good paying jobs in the United States. C, we can offset Russian gas and oil to our allies, and then take away one of their major, threats to our friends in Europe and around the world. And so, if somebody sees a 10-cent drop in gas prices, I don't think they're as happy as being upset when it goes up 10 cents.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So, it's still way up there. We think it's going to go, still continue to go up. We need to unleash, the power of American energy production.
So I'm pleased to be able to tell folks that Miami-Dade County Public Solid Waste Department is getting an all-electric vehicle very soon.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, wow, that's so cool.
It is cool. Yeah.
And then they're going to go plug it in over there where they heat everything up, and it's going to get recharged overnight. And a lot of people don't know this, but lots of our stuff gets burnt. It gets reduced to 10%, and it fuels the plant and Homestead.
Yes.
Those are very neat things,
Yeah.
right? And I was late to the party, right? Because I'm like, give me my truck and I'm good, right? Okay, 8 miles a gallon, I'm okay. No, I'm not, but I used to be better okay.
Right.
So lots of changes are taking place very, very slowly. And I understand what you're saying as far as our need for different types of products. But let's talk about some of the things you've been able to accomplish so far.
Yeah, well, in Congress, and being a member of the minority, it's difficult to accomplish a lot because you're a member of the minority. And so, but I have been able to. We got close to a little bit over $25 million in different projects, both here in Miami-Dade and in Monroe County. Because not only do I represent what's Southwest Miami-Dade, but I also represent all of Monroe, so all the way down to the Keys. So the environment is really, really important for us. We've been able to fund projects in the Everglades. We've been able to fund projects, police cameras, say in Homestead, water projects down in Key West, elderly housing, affordable housing projects, both in Miami-Dade and down in the Keys. And so that to me was very important, and as a member of Congress in the minority, getting that done was good. We also was part of, there was $350 million in allocated to the Everglades for Everglades restoration. Very happy about that.
That's a big deal for us.
That's a big deal, and it's a big deal for the Keys too, because what happens in the Everglades really affects not only what happens to us here, our drinking supply, et cetera, our environment here in Miami-Dade, but it also the Keys. So it's very important. So all those things are very important to me.
Congressman, lots of people think that if you're in Congress or you're the state or a county commission or a city commission or a zoning board, oh, you can just get whatever you want. It doesn't work like that.
What do you mean, get whatever you
Well,
want?
you say,
What does that
hey,
mean?
when people call you up, can you get this? Well, I just have to convince everybody over here and some of the people over here.
Right.
It's sort of like if it was a family unit all the time.
Well,
and
look,
everybody,
it was a lot easier being mayor that somebody says, hey, I need a pothole fix. I can go fix a pothole, right? As being the strong mayor of Miami-Dade.
could you still do that for us?
No, I can't. That would be the new mayor of Miami-Dade. So you'd have to call her. But in Congress, no, you're one of 435, and you need 218 to get anything done. 218 that's a majority. So everything there is somewhat different. You can't snap your fingers and get things done. Now, there are things that we can do for our constituents, and so that deal with the bureaucracy, let's say. So somebody is going on a trip, and they put in their application for their passport, and now, oh my God, it's a week away, and I still don't have my passport. You can call my office, and we'll expedite that for you. So there are things that we can do, that we can press on, that the bureaucracy knows and understands. So that, hey, what's going on with this individual's Medicare account? What about immigration status for this individual, their family, et cetera, et cetera. Those are things that we handle, and we handle all the time. Do we snap our fingers? No, we need the help of the administration. But usually when a congressperson calls a department, they will respond.
So inquiring minds want to know if there's an issue in front of you, whatever it happens to be, and you really want that, all right? But it gets pressure from your party not to do it. What's it like inside where you go, I really want to do this, but because I'm in this party over here and I want to be at least neutral or in favor of the other, what is it like when you decide that and think that through?
Well, I just do what I think is right. And I'm a member of the whip team for the Republican Party, but I also get whipped, right? And so when there is, hey, we're whipping this, no, there are a lot fewer whips than people think, all right? The party may have a position on something that I may be, well, I'm not there. I'm going to be voting yes on this. And so what the party wants, at least in my case, what I've seen in the Republican Party, is that they'll say, where are you? They want to know, they want to count noses. All right. And so the Democrats, on the other hand, seem to be voting in block a lot. I mean, all of them together, no dissension. All right. Which means to me that they're getting whipped a lot. And so, and if somehow they don't fall in line, something's going to happen to them. And it's they're the ruling party in the House, and so they would have to suffer more consequences. I'm not in the ruling party in the House. What's my party going to do to me? I'm not a chair of anything, right? So but I have to say that the whips are few. I have countered some, but most of the time I'm in line, not because my party says it, because I'm in line with that philosophy. All right. So and all the time when I vote, it's because I really believe in that vote.
Yeah. And I think that's important that we were true to ourselves. And if you're trying to get it done, all right, then do your best to try and getting it done. Right. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, what are you going to do? That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So there's an election coming up. When is that? When do early ballots go out on that?
Early ballots for military have gone out already.
All right.
So in a couple of weeks, I think the early ballots go out, and we give you about a month to vote. So in August, it's a mid-August election, and
it's pretty soon.
Yeah, it is. It's right around the corner. I mean, time, especially when you're our age, right? Time kind of flies. So it's time flies, and we're now this is July 11th, and in the middle we got about maybe 6 weeks maybe for the election to come. That's the primary election, and then obviously the general election will be in November.
So the district formerly known as 26 is going to be 28.
28, yeah.
So more or less, how far north does that district go, and why did it get renamed to 28?
Okay, well, first it's 28 because Florida picked up a seat. So we used to have 27, now we'll have 28. And since I'm the southernmost district, they decided to, for some reason, I had 26, and then the seat that's currently held by Maria Elvira, Salazar is 27. Why that's the case, I don't know. So now I guess they fixed it and said they're going to leave her at 27. They're going to switch Mario to 26. He was 25. And then they're going to give me 28 because I'm the southernmost. I represent basically the southern tip of the state of Florida.
Well, people get confused if they look at it. They go, "What's his name?" But I remember whatever.
No, because whenever you go to vote, you're only going to see one congressional seat. And that's when you look at your ballot. That's the seat you're going to be voting on. Most people don't even know it's District 26, right? That's just inside baseball kind of stuff. They go, "Who's my congressperson?" Okay, they'll know me. If they don't know me by now, I mean, I've been around for a while. So
when I was this big, I would say to my father, "How are these Cubans coming over here? And in 3 years, they own houses, and they're the president of every bank that's down there." So he said something interesting. He says, "Immigrants, wherever they're from, are driven to be successful because that's inside."
Yeah.
So Hispanics, whether from whatever countries they're from, typically have voted Republican. I mean,
no,
Democrat.
actually, no, not all. No, the Cubans did.
Yeah,
Cubans did.
All right, so the Cubans did, and then the other groups, of which are half a dozen or 10 in there.
Yeah.
So it seems to be there's some switching.
Yes,
where people are saying, "I'm done with this party here. I'm going over there." Why is that happening?
I think it's happening because the Democrats for a long time took the Hispanic vote for granted and said, "Well, they're Hispanics and these are their values," but they didn't know what the values were. And so Hispanics are hardworking. You're right. We came here for a reason. We came here for freedom. We came for opportunity. We are hardworking. We are family people. Okay. The family unit's very strong with us, and we want opportunity, and we believe in the free enterprise system. That's why we came here. All right. So if a party now is starting to move to the left, basically moving to what it is that we left our home country for, then they've finally woken up to the fact that wait a minute, hold on a second, maybe that party is not for me anymore. And so look, a great lesson is just we just had an election in Texas, down by the border, where we just elected the first female member of Congress that was born in Mexico ever. All right, she's a Republican. First time we actually have taken that seat in over 100 years. So it's a wake-up call. Democrats are like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" What's going on is that you've gone way too far to the left, and you no longer represent the values of mainstream Hispanics. The Republican Party does. Now, Republicans also, the party now has switched. It used to be the party of business and elites and all that, and we're no longer the party of that. We're the party of the working people. And it turns out that now the Democrats are the party of the elites to the left. So, all the polls say that there's a big revolution going on within Hispanics. Biden's approval numbers with Hispanic are really low, and so that's what's happening right now. And I think it'll continue to happen.
Years ago, when I would see an African American that was Republican, I was like, "He's a traitor." All right, subconsciously, I'm going, "Why is that? Why isn't he over there on the other side? What's driving that? What's wrong?" And so over a period of time, when you get a little more mature, or you see more of it, we see there's a trend with that. And we've done a lot of shows on African Americans and the African Americans here. I don't know anywhere else down here. We enjoy doing the shows, but I recognize they need to be able to move up more into our society. We see with the Haitian Americans, and when we do Haitian shows with Haitians that are women, they go crazy. This is the best thing they get all dressed up in their Sunday stuff, and it's exciting because what I recognize is what they're saying is, "You're paying attention to me. Thank you."
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see that the demographics, socioeconomics have a lot to do with this. We have in our office here, we probably, for the first time ever, have more Republicans. Right? We try not to talk about politics here. Right?
Okay.
We used to
Yeah.
think that that about 70% of our readers and viewers were Democrat. We had it backwards.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably.
Because we never had the real conversation. But
Right.
after a while, you started seeing this theme. Right? And so you just live with it. Say, this is Miami-Dade County. But let's look at
You know why that happened?
No.
Because the Miami Herald is only read now they're in an echo chamber, and so your papers are more balanced, and so people are looking for that. The people are looking for balanced reporting. Look, you really are who, what, when, where, how. Yeah, do you have editorial content? Yeah, fine, but tell me it's editorial content, right?
Yes.
Right. The Miami Herald, unfortunately, it's not who, when, where. It's like it's editorial content all the time, 100%, and people just turning it off, and that's the way it goes.
And we saw this sort of happening maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago on TV, where we'd say, okay, no, that's an opinion show. And then I started watching sports, which I really don't. I mean, the reporting, that's mostly opinion.
It's opinion also,
with a little bit of facts in there to support the
Oh,
conversation.
yeah.
Then what happens is stuff bleeds together, and people get lost in that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm glad you recognize that we have, we try to have representation from all sides,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And we go out of our way to do it.
Yeah.
And we're proud. Grant and I, we never argue about it anymore. We already said, no, that's just the way we do it.
Yes.
Right? Let's make sure everybody gets an opportunity.
Look, the only thing is when it's opinion, let me know it's opinion, but don't skew the facts,
Yes.
right? And unfortunately, in America today, everything is opinion, and opinion disguised as facts. All right. And then they somehow think that we're dumb enough to know that it's not an opinion, and it really is an opinion. And so people are starting to turn that off. And there's a yearning for just give us the facts. We're smart enough to determine,
Walter
ourselves.
Cronkite
Right.
went away a long time ago.
Exactly. Or just give me the facts, and then I'm smart enough to determine, where I'm going to land on this. I don't need to be guided by you. Just give me the facts.
Yes.
And yet, way too many outlets are just opinion. And then, it's just not working. Working.
So if the Republicans take over the House, what are some things that are going to happen in the first couple of months?
Well, we're going to be putting bills. We're going to be passing bills, and hopefully they'll pass the Senate and then put it on the president's desk. Will the president sign some of these bills? I don't know. I don't think so. I think this president is guided really a lot more by ideology than we thought. There was an expectation that this president was going to govern from the middle. He's governed from the left. He's directed by the left. And so I think our first bill will be somehow to release to American energy production, to try to relieve a lot of this burdensome regulations that they have that is meant to kill American energy production. That's one of the first things we're going to do. We're going to put something about the border. Right now, it's just completely wide open, and it's a wild west out there. And we have to take that border back. And look, every country deserves to have every sovereign country deserves a border, and that is protected, and that people come into the United States or any other country through a process, right? It's not happening on purpose. It's not happening. What can we do about supply chain? And then also we need to start taking back. There's a lot of money has been appropriated by and authorized by Congress. There's billions and billions of dollars that have not been used at all under the guise of COVID. All right, we need to take that back, and we need to save some of this money. We need to, not put our children and our grandchildren in debt to the tune of trillions and trillions of dollars. We need to somehow get our budgets in order. Try to grab and I'm not saying in 2 years or whatever, but over a period of time where you can start to increase revenue and through reduced expenditures, start getting our financial house in order. We also need to do something about the coming threat and the imminent threat of China, to the United States, not only economically but also militarily. China has made no secret that by 2049 they want to be the dominant economic power of the world, and they want to be the dominant military power of the world. And I'll be damned if I'm going to live in a world. I mean, I'll be close to 100 years old by then, but my children or grandchildren are going to be living in a world dominated by the Chinese Communist Party.
So let's talk about the discord that most people are feeling. Every news thing I look at is like worse than the next. The primary thing that's happened recently is COVID went from the top news story to down here.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you look at it, there's a problem, all right? But for whatever reasons, it's not at a high enough level with that. So I hope that gets back up to real conversations so people can figure out what they want to do. We know that mental health is a gigantic issue across
Mm-hmm.
the country
Yeah.
and perhaps across the world.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do to help people in South Florida in the mental health arena?
Well, we did pass a piece of legislation just recently about to put money into the issue of mental health. We know that a lot of these shootings that we've seen, a lot of deals with people that are very disturbed. Okay, and that we need to identify those people, and we need to get them the help that they need. So, yeah, there's legislation that we should have already passed, but also should be passing to deal with the issue of mental health, not only for our citizens, but a lot of it to our young people. I mean, this entire COVID episode and staying out of school, et cetera, has had much more debilitating effects on our children than we know. And so we need to study that. We also need to take corrective action to help our children. That generation that for 2 or 3 years has been basically sequestered at home and not had the ability to interact with their peers.
We had the president of one of the local universities on. I said, send a message to the graduating seniors. He says, you may not get the college life or this time, but your brothers and sisters might get it for the next time. Well, that was 3 years ago, all right? And so we know this whole group of people have missed that.
Yeah.
And we know that the little kids that are 5 years old, half their life has been surrounding this mask, no mask, no mask.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of anxiety with a lot of people that were sort of hibernating at home, including my wife.
Right.
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 I went and got a pedicure in 2020. I mean, I've had plenty since then, and I sent her a picture of me getting pedicure. She was so angry that I was doing that. I thought she'd be pleased. She said, you didn't take into consideration my feelings about you being around somebody. She actually locked me out of the house. So I came here. I was doing a video. This is my bedroom.
Right.
This is the kitchen and everything. But I've
So
learned
she quarantined you for 10 days or something?
Out of the house.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Then I started respecting anybody's position. Listen, you want to do that? Great. You don't want to do that? You want to do something else? And that is confusing for a lot of people to understand how somebody else feels about that. We've had National Alliance for Mental Illness on and talk with many people in that. So I hope that you do something extra for the people that need help, including one young man who had a break about 10 years ago. I just graduated with his master's. He's working in the arena, and he came here, and he's a guitar player and a singer. So he was sitting right over there. His mother was sitting here. So he's singing the song, You're Not Alone, right? Which I've looked up many times. And I'm imagining him walking down Biscayne Boulevard with no shoes and no shirt. The mother said, we're both crying, holding each other's hands as her son, who's now dealing with it, played that song. There's so many stories like that everywhere. So I hope that you're able to help some of our people. Tell us about Biscayne Bay and what might happen to help us down here in Miami-Dade County.
Well, I mean, part of the Everglades restoration project hopefully will help clean up, portions of the bay. Also, we need to look at how we can help with the transformation from septic tank to sewers.
We have 120,000 septic tanks.
Yeah, and that's going to it's for anybody who says we're going to do 120,000, that's not. But you really need to look at those that are the most critical, and help that transformation.
And what would make that one area more important than others? Is that a geographic? Does that mean farm fields
also
versus
elevation, and then geographically closer to the bay, and elevate, and also how high are you? The lower you are, height wise or elevation wise, then the lower that septic tank's going to be. It's going to maybe be in, in the water, maybe able there's the seepage into the bay and to cause harm to the bay. And so that has to be done, through scientific methods, et cetera, determine which these are the most critical. These are the critical ones we need to clean up, and also determine, okay, can we somehow restore some kind of flow into the bay?
Yes.
Because look, the southern bay seems to be fine. It's just that the bay that's north of Rickenbacker and north of really, what is it, the government cut, right? It seems to be that's the place. And what happened there? Well, we created a bunch of these little barrier islands, right?
Yes.
That stop the natural flow of water. So how can we start to restore that natural flow of water in that area to help clean it up?
We've got a few seconds left.
Mhm.
I'd like to invite you back after the primary.
Yeah,
all right.
sure.
I think that would be great. I personally could talk to you for a couple hours.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I could too. Yeah.
And so it's been a lot of fun. People can go to your website, find out more about you. If they like a yard sign or whatever it happens to be, they can find out everything there.
Yeah.
Listen, folks, when you need something, call the congressman's office. All right. You may not be able to help you with everything, but enough to keep you happy there. Congressman, thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you so
Remember,
much.
voting day is going to start very shortly, right?
You'll have 2 weeks of early voting prior to the election, and then the absentee ballots will be going out in a couple of weeks.
Again, thanks for joining us. And our guest today has been Congressman Carlos Gimenez.